Here's a girl who spends her time hoping that her husband's aim stays as true as his heart. While some men throw the crockery about, Martin Collins prefers cutlery. How does it feel to be this close to the point of death? Let's see it from Elizabeth's angle. And now in slow motion. Just to add to this hold your breath act, Pete Collins' Wild West team put a further edge on the appetite of those who want thrills. Elizabeth dons a mask as a human Catherine wheel where most people would fancy a coat of mail. Now you see how it looks. Who changed places with this girl for a day? Aren't you glad you're you? Some people work in offices, factories, fields. This is where 30-year-old Roy Fransen earns his living. He's Britain's champion stunt high diver, a man who comes down in the world only to rise to fame. From the top of his 75-foot tower, Roy is going to show us how it's done. Hold tight while Pathe Pictorial films the world's most thrilling job. It's a wet assignment for Pathe's cameraman shooting the worm's eye view. The tank's a mere 13 feet by 9 and only 6.5 feet deep. Sometimes Roy includes a double somersault in his dive. When he does, Mrs. Fransen shuts her eyes and prays. Let's see the next dive in slow motion. Another drenching for our cameraman down below, another headache over for Mrs. Fransen. Once more, shall we? Defying death is his business. Who'd change jobs with this man? These are the teeth of 30-year-old Bobby Davis. Bobby also uses them for eating, but mainly to earn his living. For his are the most powerful pearlies in the world. When Bobby says he can cart the furniture about by the skin of his teeth, he really means it. Not content with one table, Bobby piles on the agony. Here he's giving a rooftop demonstration at Penge, London. He also does the act professionally on the stage. Clenching those mighty molars into a Herculean smile, he straightens up and takes a quiet stroll. Bobby never practices with wood any softer than deal. He never knows when he's liable to bite clean through the table. But so far he hasn't been trying. The Health Minister's wonder boy, who'll never need a free set of dentures this side of 10 more general elections, loads up with 3 strapping youngsters. Everyone comfortable? Hold tight and put your trust in those jaws of steel. Bobby uses his left hand only to support his cargo. The rest is done by sheer tooth power. And don't worry, kids, Bobby never speaks with his mouth full. At Peckham Baths, 2 men prepare for the battle of the century. The big crowd wants to know whether champion swimmer Harold Elvin, here getting into harness, can outstay expert angler Jack Hargraves in a 15-minute fisherman versus human fish duel. In dives Elvin, past a mark 9 feet from the shallow end. Held by 12-pound breaking strain line on a 40-year-old rod normally used for pike spinning, His sink-or-swim tussle is watched by Howard Marshall, telling Radio Sports Club all about it. "15 minutes is the time limit allowed for the human fish to keep clear of the 9-foot mark. Angler Hargreaves' aim is to reel him in alive. His 11-foot rod bends dangerously under the strain of 160 pounds weight. What a bite! It's human sinew, slender plaited flax and tough greenheart pitted against the biggest fish that ever drew breath. Elvin is barred from touching bottom or holding the sides. Strength against skill, and so far, honours easy. Time's nearly up. Almost played out, Elvin summons a last reserve of energy for a spurt that snaps the rod. The fish wins with only 2 minutes to go. Victory in sport's strangest contest goes to the one that got away. Here's a bicycle made for 2. No, 3. Or is it 4? But wait a minute, it's 5. Yes, in case you think you're seeing double and a bit over, it's really a 5-saddle speedster. The very latest thing for large families. Not at all. It's the multi-cycle built in Birmingham over 50 years ago. Though it's good for 20 miles an hour on the flat, it takes all 5 to push it uphill. Its great load requires double tire pressure too, an old timer that still keeps rolling along. But you haven't seen anything yet. Beechwood Green, a hamlet near Luton, is full of old-fashioned ironmongery from the days when great-grandpapa did his courting on 3 solid tires. Like this Bone Shaker tandem tricycle, they're all owned by curio collector Walter Angel, whom you'll meet later, and still in perfect running repair. This wooden model, built by James Child of Barnet in 1862, calls for a spot of feminine assistance from the rear. They don't hail a bus at Beechwood Green. Anyway, not if there's a handsome Olympia tandem tricycle handy. And this is how boy met girl back in 1895. Older still is this Bone Shaker, vintage 1865. But the errand boy couldn't ride no hands on this. Something more sedate for the busy housewife. What was good enough for Queen Victoria, and she rode a similar machine to get around the palace grounds, was soon taken up by ladies of gentle birth everywhere. Its heyday was the gay 1880s. And so to that intrepid pacemaker on his 1877 penny farthing, Walter Angel. What dignity, what daring, what danger, as he bowls along way up there in the clouds. Better watch out there, or they'll have you for speeding.